Hello, everybody. I am impossibly excited to be here with you today. So, if anybody is joining us from the bootcamp, amazing, delightful to have you back. It's our third stream. It's chill. But if you're just joining us, you've maybe run into us off YouTube or off Twitch. That's not a problem either. What we're doing is we're running a free um, web development bootcamp. We're going to be learning HTML and CSS together. And I'm going to very briefly bring on a friendly guest because we've had a ton of questions for people saying, whoop, oh, that's a bit dizzying. We've had a ton of questions from people asking, oh, are you going to be teaching JavaScript? Where can I be learning JavaScript? Hey, Ramon, hello.
Hello, Jess. Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you.
Hypothetically, so we've got a free boot camp to learn HTML, CSS, accessibility. There's absolutely no place that somebody could learn JavaScript in the same sort of 6-week free format, right?
Funny you should mention that. Because at the very same time as we are doing this web development bootcamp in more EMEA and APAC friendly time zones, you will find that Class Central, in collaboration with myself and Free Code Camp, are also running a JavaScript bootcamp. This will teach you all of the data structures and algorithms you need, and you can learn JavaScript from scratch.
Yeah.
We're already into our third stream, but you're welcome to join in and catch up. I'm sorry, I've been talking too much.
No, you're fine. I was going to say, but if somebody's learning web development now, we're just going to keep running more boot camps, right? You don't have to feel like you have to do both of those right now. Everything's going to be fine. Ramon, I'm going to be mean to you. I'm going to bring that back and say goodbye. Ramon's going to be hanging out in the green room because we've got some really cool thunderstorms where I'm based. And just in case I suddenly go away, not a big deal. Ramon's going to seamlessly and beautifully swing in and make sure that nothing too stressful happens for y'all. Yeah. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we've done so far. And then we're going to do some exceptionally creative stuff with CSS, which I'm especially interested in. Let's come. The only reason I'm not encouraging folks to do both boot camps at the same time is that's a whole lot of time, isn't it? Like both at the same time is a lot. And of course, you can complete these anytime you want. You can use the old videos, but I just want y'all to take it easy. So we've already done HTML. I only did half of it with you, and you all did the rest. We already did some basic CSS, and this went on for a while. But now we're going to learn more about CSS colors. And I'm excited about this because this is beautiful and fun, but also real heckin' frustrating. And we're going to learn a little tiny bit of witchcraft. Not really, but it'll feel like it. So let's look at the project we're going to make. Oh, and this is really cool. Has anybody ever heard of CSS art before? So we're making not the most exciting art, but there's a lot of people out there. And if you look at stuff like CodePen, you'll find people making beautiful, absolutely wild art just out of CSS. And we're going to learn to do that together. Let's start coding. And we're going to go a little tiny bit fast through the stuff we've already done. Doc type HTML, we got that pointy baby and an exclamation point. Let me bring you down. And doc type HTML. Okay. And why are you gray? You just want to be gray today? That's fine. And then we have an HTML. And then we have HTML closing. And this is really us getting used to the flow. We're going to do this a lot. The HTML, we're going to set a lang to an lang attribute for English. Sorry that I'm just always snuffling. I'm allergic to everything. And now we're going to set a head inside our HTML. We can do this. We can do this super fast. And if this is too fast, the video is always going to be there. Everything's fine. Body. Everything continues to be meditatively chill. We've got that green stripe, but even if we didn't, it's just CSS. It can't hurt us. I've got folks saying, oh no, I want the HTML and CSS bootcamps to happen one after another, or woof, one and then this next stream. We would not do that to y'all. It would be way too stressful to try and do these back to back. Also, Ramon and I work in the same job, so you would have a hard time making us both do the same thing back to back. I'm so sorry that the pressures of the real world make that a little bit hard to do. So we're going to add a title. We're going to copy and paste this called colored markers. Chill, chill. We're going to push this. I think it's likely to be green, but if it's not, it can't hurt us. It's green. Little sigh of relief, and we get to keep going. And you might say, Jess, you promised this boot camp was free. What the heck? I say, no, it's still chill. It's still chill. The boot camp is free. And the way that happens, I want to say thank you to a bunch of people. Ramon and I volunteer our time because we really like y'all. Class Central provides the infrastructure, and they also provide some cash to pay for paid mentors. So Kinjal is our mentor in here, and if you see stuff in the chat popping up, especially stuff that's useful, that's almost always Kinjal. If you all can say hey to her, that would be really, really cool, but no pressure. Much smarter than me, much cooler than me. This is because Free Code Camp is a separate organization and they're a nonprofit. If you feel like donating, that can be super chill, but only worry about that if you've got the money. Stuff's stressful right now and money is tight. If you don't have the money right now, don't you dare pay money you don't have. We're setting up a meta element. These are self-closing. Don't worry about closing it. And we're going to set the character set. So these are the type of letters, the type of characters we're going to use are UTF-8. And actually, Kendall, would it be a bother? Could you throw the maybe the Wikipedia? No. Why am I bossing you around? Let's do. Remember, when you don't know something, you can. No. Y'all tell me. If I don't know about something, what are the 3 different ways I can get that information? Because I'm going to do the second one. I'm going to go to DuckDuckGo. You can go to whatever kind of web search you like. And I'm going to search for UTF-8. Oh, heck. I'm going to come down here. UTF-8. Yeah. Because the 3 different ways we can get the information are to ask somebody, to look it up, or to just get weird. And we probably can't experiment our way to getting this answer, which is a bit of a shame. But we can. Yeah, Google it, web search it. I'm agnostic. But I just wanted to show you that I look stuff up all the time and hey, this is a type of encoding. This is a way we communicate letters or characters. But yeah, I've just had that up, kicked that into the chat. I find that Wikipedia article a little bit complicated. Sabrina, can I put you on the screen for a second? That is a much more concise way to say this. And I'm so sorry I might steal this. If you don't know what you're doing, ask or search or experiment. Oh yeah, let's move down a little bit. Thank you so much to whoever pointed out. And actually, let's get us a little bit more space. Is that better or worse? Anytime y'all can't see me or y'all can't hear me, please yell at me. Actually, let me check my audio. Yeah, the audio seems okay. Thank you so much for fussing at me that didn't quite work. I appreciate it. Check your code. And let's keep going. Everything's chill. All right, cool. We're going to add our viewport again. And remember that this feels weird because we're copying and pasting this without really understanding it yet. And that's because we're going to learn a lot more about this in the responsiveness section. So here, what we're doing is saying, hey, I want to set the width of my content to the width of the device. Go ahead and take up as much of the viewport as you can. And then keep the scale 1 to 1. Don't stretch it in any way. And we'll learn some more about this later. Oh, heck, what am I doing? An attribute. Oh, yes. Meta name. I got so excited to do like wiggly hands that I completely forgot to do this right. So the attribute name is going to be set to viewport. And then the content of that is going to be width is equal to the device, the width of the device, and the scale is going to be 1-to-1. Don't stretch this around. Oh, Sabrina, let me pull you back off screen. I just left you hanging there. I'm so sorry, my love. We're going to check our code. Oh, heck, my code doesn't pass. Oh. And this is fine. Sometimes our code doesn't pass, and the test will be like, babe, 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 double check this. And here, this is one of my favorite types of mistakes, a typo. And it's just fine. Even when it's not fine, it's fine. And some of y'all are lovingly yelling at me like, Jess, fix your typo. Thank you. So let's get a heading, an H1 in here. And remember, this is going to be the most important heading. By default, this is going to be the biggest heading, but we can change that using CSS we learned about yesterday. Oh, nice and big and chunky up here. Hey, everything's chill. Okay. Oh, and we talked about this yesterday, how we need to link our HTML and our CSS. Our HTML file needs to know our CSS file exists. And Free Code Camp's been really cool. It already, oh no, it made us a blank CSS file. We have to do it all on our own. That's brutal. But it does want us to get into the habit of linking to that CSS. And again, this is a trick. This is a trick HTML plays on you. You say, I know how to do a link. It's a ref, it's an anchor tag. You are almost always right. But here we're linking so that our browser knows about it, not our users. And here we use the link element instead, just to be weird. The rel, I forgot what the rel means. Somebody yesterday knew, and I knew yesterday. We're still going to have a ref where we throw the link and get a chain that connects them conceptually. So our rel is style sheet. Actually, do you know what? Let's look that up. MDN rel. Okay, we got our HTML attribute rel. Was it relative? Right? I think it's relative. Relationship. Ha 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 ha. Okay, that's a really easy one to remember because some of y'all are saying, like, oh, relative. In my heart, it was relative, wasn't it? Mitch is like, it's relationship. Mitch, you are absolutely right. You're just looking out for me. Where am I? Where is my brain? Oh, let's get our style CSS. Is what we're linking to as well. Check our code. It's green. This is fine. Nothing can hurt us. Okay. Let's center. Okay, we can do this. Let's center our H1 element. And we're going to do this using a type selector. And that means that any H1s on our page, we're only going to have one, would follow these style rules. H1. I come in and we say, hey, I'm going to use the property text align, which is super chill. I want to set that to the right. Okay, that's our example, but that's not what we're doing. I want to set it to the center. That's super chill. I'm cautiously optimistic because here on our screen, we see the text has aligned itself to the center. Let's check our code. We've got that green bar. Nothing can hurt us. Nothing can stop it. Nothing that CSS can do can hurt us. All right, so we're back over in our HTML, and we're going to make some imaginary boxes. We're going to make those conceptual rectangles that we love so much. This is probably a little bit of a hint, but what is every single HTML element shaped like? And while I ask this, Israel's got a really good question to say, hey, do I just put the link element in the head? I'm almost sure that that's correct. I think it wouldn't work especially well other places. But I would recommend looking it up. Oh, sorry, I'm a little snuffly. Where am I? Where are we? So let's come in here and let's make some divs inside our bodies. So it's below our H1, but still inside our body. That means it's a child of our body. I suppose we could say it was a sibling of the H1, but I don't think I ever hear people say that. We've got that div. It exists. What? Oh, it should have a class set to container. Oh, you know what? It tells us that. And we've got somebody saying, look, Everything is a rectangle in an HTML. And you could do this by setting the background color of different elements, and it's just going to make boxes. Just. The magic of HTML is everything wants to be a box. Yeah. I completely, this is my second favorite type of mistake, failed to read the instructions. And here our class is a container. Ooh, do you know what? So just to remind us, we've got streams like these Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. Thursdays at weird random times, just to accommodate guests, we'll have some guests come on, check our code. We're safe, we're happy, everything's fine. Our first guest is tomorrow, and it'll be an hour later than our usual stream starts. And we're going to be talking to Dr. Barbara Oakley and Zach Caceres. And they're going to be talking to us about the neuroscience behind and the practical, like learning how to learn programming. Okay, so we've got a container. And so our containers are our imaginary box. We're going to put another imaginary box inside our imaginary box. Imaginary, conceptual, empty? I like to think of them as imaginary because with programming and with web development, with any kind of this, I really like the idea that this is a type of magic. That what we're doing is we're taking words and really almost a kind of poetry. We set our class to marker and we're painting. We're painting with light and words, and I love it. We're going to check our code. Everything's fine. Oh, you know what? Somebody's saying, is it an hour later? We might have an outdated. Do you know what? I'm going to ask my lovely colleagues to check for me. What time does this start? Is it? I'm in the UK, so I thought it was 6 p.m. our time, but I'm wrong a lot. So we're going to set the class of marker. Let's come back and look at our HTML again. We'll get rid of our preview just so we got some space. We've got an imaginary box that has the class of container in the club. And we've got an imaginary box that has the class of marker. And what we're going to do, goodbye HTML, thank you very much. What we're going to do now, okay, some of you like invisible better than imaginary. I think that's I can respect that. We're going to set our class selector. And remember, a class is like a club. We put this in. So I say, stop. I've got some rules for a club. Kinjal, would it be a bother to check the timing on the cohort page for me? I think there might be a mistake with it. Or maybe I'm wrong. I'm not sure which is which. Me being wrong sounds very feasible. Where am I? So we're going to go ahead and make some rules for everybody in the club marker. I'm going to set the background color. Before I finish, what do we think this is going to look like? What do we think this is going to do? Yeah. Because I think when we make the background color of the marker red, I think it's just going to be a red. Oh. Okay. When I turn the background color red, nothing happened. Why do we think nothing happened? And it has to do with the etherealness of these divs. So until these divs have some content in them, they're invisible boxes that are pretty much so small you can't see them. Let's put something inside. Oh, goodbye, styles. Let's put something inside of marker. Hello. And you say, Jess, you just wrote that. You didn't. HTML is super fault tolerant. If I just put some text in there, it says, you probably wanted that to be a paragraph. I'll just go ahead and make you a paragraph. Okay, I think that maybe we've got the wrong time. Folks are saying it's 5 p.m. I think we might have the wrong time for tomorrow then. Yeah. Okay, I'll go ahead and fix that in the invite. That's fine. Where am I? Where's my brain? Yeah, it has no height. Oh, and that's the best thing about programming is every now and again you'd be like, what was I doing? Let's bring our styles back. That didn't do a thing. I bet the next thing it's going to say is, haha, that didn't do a thing. There we go. That didn't do a thing. Where am I? So doesn't have to. Let's add some width. Let's add some space. Oh, and I've got and somebody saying, "Oh, HTML is such a mystery." It'll stay a mystery for a long time, but it'll feel like a more familiar mystery. It's like a cryptid that becomes your best friend, like being besties with Bigfoot. We're to set our width property. We're to set that to 200 pixels. And that's an absolute value. A pixel is a pixel is a pixel. And you say, Jess, now our div has some width, and I still see nothing. Be cool, be cool, be calm. It's got width, but it has no height at all. So, really, this gets into quite a bit of philosophy. How tall is something with no height? It's not much of anything yet. Let's give it 25 pixels of height. Yeah, we've got one of our beautiful, calming rectangles. We got our little green stripe. Everything's chill. Oh, somebody's apologizing for being late. I should add, you're never late to a live stream and you're never late to join the boot camp. All of these videos are available on demand. The whole philosophy of these boot camps are there's no way to fail. There's no tests. There's no payments. Really, the whole design is designed to make this, yeah, we work for y'all. Everything's fine. Let's go ahead and let's add some margins. Remember, margins are like that space in books, sort of the white space around the text, huh? So let's set, so we set margin top and margin left last time. This time we're going to set all of our margins, MARGIN, that's how we spell that, to auto. Oh, and that's gonna center that as much as it can. That's chill. So instead of saying margin top, margin left, margin right, margin bottom, we just say, hey, all of my margins, put them left, or put them right, or put them up, or put them down, or just auto. Just try and squish him in the middle if you don't mind. We got a green stripe. We can relax and keep going on, keep winning. So we've got our container div, and I'm going to start thinking about this. Oh, Ramaya says, oh, heck, I was a little bit confused yesterday between margin and padding. I am consistently confused about margin and padding, so that's okay. Let's go ahead and get those both right now. Let's go to MDN developer.mozilla.org, MDN, and I want to search for CSS padding. Oh, let's search for margin first. Yeah. And here, it sets the margin area. Okay. I got it. So the margin is the space on the outside. So when I say, hey, I want a margin, I'm saying I want to set the amount of space outside of my element. But when I say padding, Tsukina has got me right here. You way ahead of me, way too fast. You say margin's the outside bit and padding's the inside bit. And I like to think of this as, when bears or bunnies, animals that hibernate, they'll eat a whole bunch before winter to put on a little bit of extra padding. So that's part of you, well, as the margin is the outside of you. I just like to think about bunnies and bears getting to hibernate, really. So it's telling me to make 2 more div elements with the class container. Y'all remind me what the happiest developers are, because I am a very happy developer and I'm a lazy one. So I highlighted that and copied with Command C and then Command V. I got 3 of them. They've all got the same class. What? What? My first new div element should have a close. Oh. Look at how absolutely ridiculously cocky I am. Oh, I could just copy and paste. And I copied only, what I didn't manage to do is copy only the opening tag, which obviously didn't work. Let's go ahead, 2, 3. Our spacing here is terrible, but it'll just magically do it for us. Your text editor will usually do that for you. And here, we only have 1 red box. Somebody please tell me why every time I added a new marker, my box just got bigger. What's the deal with that? Why don't I have 3 separate boxes? I bet y'all know. That actually worked that time. That's fine. So, hey, it says, look. And I love how Free Code Camp lets you stress out about it a second and say, what's the deal with that? Hey, here's the deal with that. And it said, look, look, look. You didn't. You didn't. I'm gonna put this on the screen because I think that's useful. I said, "Oh, happy programmers or lazy programmers," but at the same time, I told you programming is a myth. So I like to think about. Well, I said programming is a myth. Oof, should that be true? Oof. But laziness is a myth. I like to think of laziness as a good thing. Really, it's often got a bad rap, but yeah, we're energy efficient. And y'all are all like, hey, 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 there's no margin between these. They're all squished in the same parent, and y'all are perfectly, supernaturally, sublimely right. Inside my marker, I'm going to set a margin property to 10 pixels auto. So this says, hey, no matter what, oh, do I need a comma here? It doesn't look like I need a comma. So this is saying, hey, I do want you to automatically set these, but also make sure there's at least 10 pixels of padding. Just give me a little bit of space. Let me breathe. Yeah, that's fine. Everything's fine. It's just CSS and it can't hurt us. So right now, all of our markers have the same class. Yeah, but we're going to give them slightly different classes to give them slightly different color rules to really make some art. We're not going to take away the class marker because they're still markers, but let's go ahead and add the class 1. And this is a little bit hard because it hasn't quite told us how to do that. Can I just say this? Do I need a comma? Do I need to say class twice? Let's try it and see if it works. Oh, as long as I had a space, I could have multiple classes. So that's cool. But what if I want to do it the other way? And this is what I say experiment. What if I want to say class marker and then set the property again to classes 1? Is that going to work okay? That worked so fine that it was like, yeah, yeah, go on. So both of those ways work just fine. Now we're going to take the background color away because right now, come here, HTML. Oh, please go away, CSS. Right now, when we look at all of our divs that are markers, oh, somebody's asking me to readjust my screen. Can you give me a little bit of a heads up about what would be more, please, how? um, if you have any more information on how to adjust my screen, that would be pretty useful. Sorry. Do you need the characters bigger? So right now, all of our markers, good day, have the background property of red. So I'm going to take that away. And it's vanished. Terrifying. But I'm pretty sure this is one of those things that Free Code Camp, ah, ha, 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 and then it changes in the next one. We're going to do one more lesson. And then right after that, we're going to take a break just so we can answer some questions and get that snuck in, okay? And so folks can take a bio break or get some water. We're going to check our code. Everything's fine. So let's look at the rules we have so far. We have rules for all of our H1s, and then we have some rules for all of our markers, everybody in the marker club. I want to set some rules just for that first one. Whoop, whoop, whoop. And here I want to set my background color right back to red. And we've got one marker colored in. And that's because we only have, come here, please, HTML. We only have a class for one set. These two are only in the marker club, whereas this first div is in the marker club and in the one club. And the marker club no longer has any rules for color. Okay. We're going to check our code and go on to the next challenge. Okay, I've got a relatively good idea of what's going on here. We got a class of one, we've got a class of two. And to be honest, if I was doing this and I were choosing my own classes, I'd probably, instead of one, I'd probably call that red. And that's just my own personal preference. Generally, you want to make your classes understandable to other people who might look at your code. And here, I think that still does a good job. One is the first marker, two is the second marker, three is the third marker. That tracks. I'd probably group them by color, but that's just me. Oh, heck, oh, heck. Everything is chill. So, I'm going to create the CSS. I'm going to add some more rules. I love rules. I'm going to say, hey, look, everybody in the 2 club, I'm going to set your background color. I'm going to go ahead and set that to green. Boom. Perfect. And we're going to do some more CSS next week, and we're going to do even more art. So I'm really excited with that. I'm going to add a space here just to give myself a little bit contextual space. The space in a CSS file doesn't do anything. It just sort of lets me breathe. And what I'm going to do is take a really short break for a second. Does anybody have any questions for me after I finish this one lesson? So go ahead and toss me your questions. And as soon as I finish this, I'm going to grab a little drink of water, give anybody who needs a break, and then answer some of your questions. So 3, I want to set my background color to blue. And we're still using these CSS keywords here, and that's super chill. We're going to come down and check our code. Everything's fine. Let's just look at this for a second, because this is where it's going to get hard. But I'm going to be answering your questions for a second. I'm just going to bop through and see if there's any questions. This is a great time. We're going to be taking a break for about 3 minutes. So go grab some water. If you've got to hop to the restroom, super chill. Grab some tea. And if you're just like, oh, I'm tired of CSS, that's fine as well. You could just watch the replay later. Nothing is wrong. Oh, Sandra had this really margin outside, padding inside, like we just covered. I really, really appreciate that. So all of y'all have some very, very good processes here. Oh, so hey, are we going to follow the D rule like header? Okay, I think what you're asking is, it's best practice to only have one H1 on a page, but can we have more than one article in the same HTML file? And heck yeah, you absolutely can. Where am I? Let's see if we've got any questions at all. And if we don't, I'm going to have a little glass of water because I think we've got a tiny bit of lag. Oop. Ooh, Ramaya, I love this question. And you're saying, hey, we're not setting any style rules for div with a type selector, but we're setting them to the classes. And this is a really good point. We can set rules based on, we can set rules that apply to all of our divs. And let's go ahead and look at it. Here we've got our H1 that applies to all of our H1s. We can use a type select with div. We can use a type selector like we did with div, with H1. And we could set rules for div as well. We could say align. Wait, that's not going to work. Oh, wait, how about float? That's not going to work. How about a border? That would work. But we can set rules for that div, and they would set rules for all of our divs on the whole page. We're just not doing it, I think, probably to get a little bit of practice with using classes. Jeff's backing me up to say we're not using that type selector right now. We could do it, give it its own background color. Yeah. And that would change not just our markers, but it would also change the div that surrounds it, that container. Oh, we've got a fantastic question. Jess. Oh, Oh, sorry, the comment covers up what I'm typing at the bottom of the screen. Sorry, I will. Thank you very much. That's extremely good feedback. Um, what's the difference between pix, m, rem, percent, view width, and view height? So these are all ways to measure, but it's kind of like what's the difference between an inch and a centimeter, and so they're all different kinds of measurements. Pix, m, and rem are all so pixels absolute. M is set to the default for a line of text, so what you're using. But all of these are different kinds of measurements that we're going to be using throughout the course. I'd go ahead and check on MDN. Let's check on MDN together. And I want to CSS units. Yeah. And this is going to go, actually, I'd bookmark this. I'm going to throw it to y'all. Look, you've beat me to it. And this is going to go ahead and say, hey, what are our values? What are these? Oh, no, I'm not going to look at those. Those are cheating. But our units are going to be, the lengths are going to be the ones we look at a lot. And then our relative length units, like an M. And these will feel a lot less weird as we play with them a bit more. And I'm so sorry to just say, oh, they'll feel less weird. So let's go ahead and keep bopping along. We've got we've got almost 70 of these. I'd like to get you at least halfway through this, just so I could be mean and abandon you. I'm going to start taking allergy meds before this as well. We've been using these keywords, red, green, blue, but these don't give us a whole lot of, what if I want sort of a purpley pink? What if I want like the background of the stream? Or what if I want like the bottom bar of the stream? I can't say, container. I can't say color, purpley pink gray. That doesn't work. It says, look, Jess, you can have purple or pink or gray. We're going to do something that gives us a little bit more power, more flexibility. And we're going to learn about the RGB model. And the RGB model is wild. So there's two different kinds of. Is anybody else here very old? And you remember how printers used to be CMYK? They still are, but we don't think about them that way as much. And that's additive. That's you start from white and add these colors, or that's subtractive. You start from white and add these colors. RGB means we're starting from black. So RGB is how we're going to be trying to do much more specific colors. And these will feel super, 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 super weird. They're going to feel weird for ages. Let's set our background color. And some people are absolute magicians. They just know them out of the box. And you can say, oh, I want this purpley brownie color, this purple gray. Yeah. And then sometimes you'll talk to a designer and they're just like, oh, yeah, this is 21/7/14. But I can't do that. I am not magical like that. The only secret powers I have is I can sleep anywhere. Yeah. Oh, Platypus has got a really good way to frame this to say, hey, we're going from no color, which is white, subtractive, to all color, which is black. No color, white, all color, black. Wait, is that true? Am I backwards? Let's check. Let's check. So if I want to say I need, and this is, I think of RGB as ordering at a restaurant. Say, hey, color waiter or color server, may I please don't give me any red, and please don't give me any green, and please don't give me any blue. Okay. And if I ask for nothing, the default is black. Cool. Where am I? So, okay, I've asked for nothing and I've gotten black. That tracks. So here, we're going to set our background color to black. Please don't give me any red. I don't need any green today, and I don't need a bit of blue. Okay, we've got black. That's chill. Let's check our code. Okay, and I bet we're going to do some different stuff with this. So, what we're really doing here with these smooth braces or smooth babies, if we want to stay with the pointy baby, curly baby, what we're really doing in these smooth braces is we're writing a function. And a function in CSS takes some parameters. If anybody's doing JavaScript right now, this is going to sound really familiar. And if you want to do JavaScript later on, this is really familiar. Think of a function as a piece of code that runs something. With a lot of CSS, I like to think of it as conceptually as telling your browser, here are the style rules. You're just announcing that this is the stylish way to be. But with a function, I'm going to say, hey, I need you to do a little piece of work right here. And the piece of work we're doing right here is making this color. I say, oh, I need this much red. I need this much green. I need this much blue. It's really asking for a little recipe, this function. So in the CSS red, and I'm actually I'm going to pretend I don't know because I feel confident with this color. I just told you that I'm terrible with guessing RGB colors. But if I want a color that is very, very, very red, how would I order this in my function? I would probably ask for maximum red, and it says 255. Weird color, weird number. We can look up why. 255 is maximum. So I'm going to say, if I want this marker to be red, please give me maximum red. Okay, cool, cool, cool. And then I say, well, my red probably shouldn't be very green. So please don't give me any green when you run this function, when you run this recipe. Do you know what? I really don't need any blue in my red either. That would give me purple. Maybe I want purple later. How about a 0 again? And you say, well, Jess, that's the exact same as when I just typed red. I say, yeah, yeah, yeah. But this gives you the power and flexibility to do more than red. So it's a little boring the way we're learning it, but our test passes. I bet we're going to go through the exact same process with green and blue. So I'm going to go a tiny bit faster. What's RGB? And this, we know it's RGB, and I spelled the wrong thing. We know it's RGB and our functions. We've got RGB in these smooth babies. I don't need a single bit of red. I do want as much green as it can give me. I don't want any blue at all. And wow. Oh, I said that this was going to feel a lot like using the color keywords, but that green feels different than what we just had, didn't it? Let's compare them. Yeah. So 100% green, 255 green, is actually much brighter than our keyword green. Whew. Maybe this RGB nonsense is a terribly good idea. And then for our blue, let's see how this feels. I don't want a lick of red, not a single scrap of green, but please give me as much blue as you've got. It feels a little bit like the keyword blue, doesn't it? Let's take a deep breath. Everything's green. Ooh, everything. And I should add that little good for you bar. That looks very much like the keyword green, doesn't it? It doesn't look like our neon green over here. So red and this confirms what I thought was going on. Red and blue look the same, but the green keyword color is actually a darker shade of green. And this is wild. This is going to seem so weird. How would we make this darker? And counterintuitively, we would make this darker by adding less green. And when we add less green, we leave more space for the black, which is the 0, to show through. Okay. Ooh, I've got a weird question. So if 000 is black, how do I get white? I'm going to let y'all tell me how I get white while I'm doing this. So if I want this to be darker, I'm just going to order a little tiny bit less green. 127 instead of 255, just to get a little bit more. Donkey Kong is right here and after in my own heart. And you say, look, if black is 000, maximum red, maximum blue, and maximum red, maximum red, maximum green, and maximum blue, yeah, y'all have all got this, is going to go ahead and give us white. So if we max out the colors, we get a pristine white. Where am I? Where's my brain? So we're going to check our code. We've got that green again, and we're going to keep bopping along just to get into sort of the mid 30s. If you all have been to one of these streams before, you know that I'm the meanest programming teacher on the internet. So I like to get you a good chunk of the way through the easy parts and then abandon you for the hard parts. And this isn't just because I'm mean, it's because it's really, really valuable to try these on your own. Oh, you all don't see that I signed into my account. We know. Where can you go? Oh, do you know what? This is a really good question. I'm going to ask a question and then look at this really weird computer question. I like this. Where can you go to get answers, to get help when can you go to get answers when there's not a stream on? And while I wait for your questions, because I think there's a little bit of a delay, somebody's saying, well, that's weird. Why are the numbers between 0? And I think starting at 0 makes sense. But why do they go to 255? Let's look that up. Why does CSS color go to, well, and that's not even CSS color. Why does RGB, oh, here we go. And it's even one of our suggested questions. Why does RGB use 225? And here we've got Stack Overflow. Oh, and this answer is wild. Look at this. So I don't want to accept cookies, but I will. So this is a cool, cool thing. And it says, oh, this has to do with how much space, how many bits this takes up. And this is a little bit complicated, so I'm going to cheat and and abandon you all. So I'm going to drop that answer in here and then ask you to read it on your own if you're fascinated. So if you need some help, oh heck, I'm going to put you back. If you need some help and the stream's not on, you can go to the forum. You can go to the Discord, or you can just wait till the next stream. You know, it's probably not very efficient to wait for the next stream, or you can get weird. So let's go ahead and make another. So we learned about margin, the space on the outside. Let's learn about padding, that extra little bit of cuddly fluff we need to hibernate. So we're going to set our padding, and let's see what the padding. Hey team, sorry about. I'm so sorry. everything's terrible, but everything's fine. It is just a storm. I'm so sorry. No. I'm terribly sorry to keep y'all waiting. That was absolutely rubbish of me. And do you know what? I was just making a lot of noise to myself when I blinked out. So the padding bottom is going to be 10 pixels as well. And we're going to learn about a different shorthand for this in a second. Thank you all so much for your patience. I know how frustrating that is for all of you. So we've got our padding top and bottom. And let's go ahead and see. Okay, so it didn't want a padding top and bottom. It just wanted padding set to 10 pixels and 0. Okay, is that what you wanted? 10 pixels, 0. Let's try you again. Okay, didn't work the first time, worked the second time. And that's because I didn't read the instruction properly. It asked for the padding to be set, and I thought padding top and bottom. I was making your life significantly more complicated than it needed to be. Let's hop to the next challenge. Cool. So I think that we probably know this, that primary colors are the when we combine them, they make white. And we just talked about this. Isn't this chill? So we said, hey, if you give me 000, I'll give you black. But if I use my function, if I use my little recipe machine and I ask for all red, all of the green you possibly have, and every single scrap of, why aren't you working? Hmm. Oh, background color, RGB. That's because I'm rubbish. Why would we be setting that to? It's the comma at the end, isn't it? It doesn't like that comma at the end at all. And I'm so sorry again about the interruption a moment ago. So I set our green color back to pure green, maximum green. I like to think of 255 as like maximum, turn it up as far as you can go. And let's keep going. So our container, let's go ahead and turn our container white. 5, 255. Ooh, that's useful to know. So if I ask for a maximum, okay. So I'm not an artist, but I did some figure painting in primary school. And that doesn't feel right to me, does it? That maximum red and maximum green makes yellow. Like if we were using paints, maximum red and maximum green would be a mess. But here, computer colors are just different than real world paint colors. There we go. We're going to check our code. And we've got that white background we were looking for. Everything. I mean, we had a white background by default, but this like taught us a couple lessons. We're going to bop on to our next challenge. So, secondary colors are what happen when we combine those. And we saw that a second ago. We combined maximum red and maximum green and got yellow. And this is asking us to do that again and say, hey, bring that yellow back, but as one of your markers. I said, that's cool. I can do that. Platypus makes a really good point here and say, we're not talking about paint when we're combining these colors. We're talking about light. And this brings us back. I know that some of you have goals where, and actually, if it's not about that, can you tell me what your goals are? Why do you want to learn web development? Why programming? But I really love and I know that philosophy isn't going to help you build a personal website or make a website for your company or become a web developer. How exciting, how scary. But this philosophy, I think, makes it more exciting to think about our work. One thing I'm going to, and I'm such a bully, I'm so mean, I'm going to bully you all right now. If you've written some HTML and if you've written some CSS, you are a web developer. You've written some code for web languages, you are a web developer. And one thing I really love about web development is you are taking words, really the stuff we make poems out of, and using them to paint with light and send them all around the world. I love this. And we've got folks saying, oh, I'm keeping my employment options open. We live in a scary world. And somebody's saying, I'm already a programmer, but part of being a programmer is always learning. Oh, and some of you are learning just for the pleasure and the joy in it after my own heart. Being an adult is stressful and weird, and we so rarely get to learn just for the joy in it. So, okay, when we mix light, when we paint with light, maximum red and maximum green gave us yellow. So now we're going to get cyan next. We're going to get maximum green and maximum blue. I find this really comforting. Old paint computers back in the day didn't have as many colors, and these are making me feel very familiar. Let's keep bopping along while we talk about our goals and philosophy. And the last one, we're going to say pure blue and pure. I've got a really, really good idea of what this is going to feel like, don't you? Lots of red and lots of, lots of red and lots of purple. Ooh, so these are sort of the printer paper colors, aren't they? We're to check our code, and this is what they wanted from us. That's chill. And look at this. We've got some of you who are programming in C sharp. C sharp. I'm gonna call you. I find C sharp so hard. I really respect people who are good at this. We've got folks who say, I want to do a career pivot. oh, hey, maybe I want to do this as a joy. And I love this to say, hey, I want to look at what kind of jobs are available to me. Maybe I don't want to be a web developer, but web development skills are part of a bunch of different jobs. And I really, really, really want to talk about this. We'll talk about this maybe we'll add an extra social sometime. But this is really important because there are lots of different jobs where web development skills are useful. I know a lot of marketers who use it. I know a lot of streamers who use it. Um, Being able to make your own website. I know a lot of bakers that use it. This gives you the ability to paint light on your own. And some of you are just saying, oh, it's fun. I like this. I love it. Let's go ahead and keep going. I really like the web. So let's talk a little about tertiary because we're just going to keep painting with light for a little bit. That's super chill. So we're going to set our red is maximum. So maximum red. And then I want 127. So half of the green. Ooh, I've got sort of that's the orange. That's what I thought. Oh, some of y'all want to be full stack devs. Oh gosh, somebody's doing a career change due to COVID. And career changes when you're self-taught can be really challenging. Towards the end of the boot camp, we'll talk more about career stuff and job hunting. It's really stressful to get your first job in tag, but getting your second job and getting your third job get easier and easier until folks chase you. Oh, we've got somebody saying, I just want to make weird art. Obviously, I want you to have fancy jobs. So here, green is maximum. And we get 127 of these. But I also want you to have weird art. uh, so I like this. These are kind of stressful next to each other, these colors, but I bet we'll change the pink. So the blue is maximum. So blue right over here, maximum. And I want to change my red to half, 127. Okay. So we've got kind of a 90s sneaker thing, a 90s trainer thing going on with these. We're going to go a couple more steps and then I will lovingly abandon you all to finish on your own. Yeah. So we're going to come and we say, well, there's other tertiary colors. Let's try these. These are going to be really, really chill. Oh, and these will never go away. You can look these up on your own. I always have to look these up. So we're going to try chartreuse. Chartreuse always feels like a name to me. So we're going to set red 2027. Okay, so we're going to go. I'm just bad at reading instructions. In the one class, we're going to leave our red is 127. Okay. And then I want maximum green. Oof. Oof. That is maximum green. That is an extreme amount of green, isn't it? Here's number 2. Number 2, I want to try another tertiary one where I say, okay, maximum blue. I'm going to turn the blue up first. And then I want 120. So we're just sort of swapping these around. So I say, oh, so we're getting sort of a Taco Bell in the 90s feel off of these. Sorry, that's a very old lady American reference. And then here we've got maximum blue. Okay. RGB. So maximum, wait, is that true? So, oh no, we're going to switch these around. So 127 blue and 255 red. This is very Lisa Frank. This is very Trapper Keepers. This is very 1996, isn't it? I'm going to check our code. And it says, I love the 90s. I absolutely want these colors. Yes, yes, yes. Let's keep bopping along. Nothing bad is happening. Okay, we've tried all the primary colors. We've tried all the secondary colors. And we've tried the tertiary colors. And that's on our color wheel for painting with light. And now we're going to start talking a little bit more about color theory and design. And I think this might be a really good place to leave you because this involves a lot. Because obviously, you're always going to want to read your steps very carefully. You've seen what happens when you don't read your instructions carefully enough. But here, I think these lessons where we talk more about color theory start to get a little bit more reflective. I like to pour a cup of tea. Y'all can get some coffee. Y'all can get some water. I'm not the boss of you. But I like to look at these a little bit more slowly and thoughtfully, just because we're starting to think about the theory of painting with color. And it's not really a good use of y'all's time to have me say, now that we've gone through the primary, secondary, and tertiary colors on a color wheel, it'll be easier. You don't need me to read all of this to you. Y'all can do this. So we're going to continue. I'm going to abandon you. If you all have any questions for me, go ahead and drop some questions. And we could chill out and chat a little bit. But I'm just going to do this last one, and it'll be really, really mellow. Yeah. So go ahead and what not? I mean, yelling, I think, is just all caps on the internet. But hit me with your general computer questions, your CSS questions, and I will joyously confess to the ones I don't know. I'd be especially excited to answer questions about your goals. And if I don't get to your questions here, come on Discord. Our much, much smarter, much more interesting mentor will probably get to them before me, but on Discord and the forum as well. If we don't get to any of your questions, I'm so, so sorry, but come on in and chat over there. So, first in the rules 1, 2, and 3, we're going to adjust these so that we're going to set all of these to pure black. Okay. That seems weird. Wait, I'm setting them to white, aren't I? Set them all to white. Okay. Wait, no, set them all to. What am I doing? I'm doing it wrong. So 0, 0, 0 for black. And because happy programmers are lazy programmers, I'm going to copy and paste these. It is the joy of laziness. The whole world is stressful and hard. You can be a little bit lazy with programming. You've asked for 3 black bars. Okay, you wanted 3 black bars. And now y'all are going to get a little bit experimentational. Y'all are going to get to experiment in a laid back way with complementary colors. And these complementary colors are like, hey, what feels chill next to each other? And if we don't have any questions, y'all are way ahead of me. It's like, Jazz, you were missing a comma there. I wasn't even looking. I was just being wrong cheerfully. So, my loves, my doves, my darlings, if you've got any questions, I didn't see any chime in. That might just be a side effect of the delay. I'm so sorry if I'm just cutting you off and leaving you hanging. But come on into the forum, come on into the Discord, and we'll chat to you. Oh, wow. Ooh. So it's going to feel like I'm picking favorites, but Ghost Malone is saying, I'm still thinking about old school GeoCities websites. Also, it just occurred to me that your username is a pun, and that's quite good. I'm very jealous. It's quite clever. So I'm still in my head. Not me, Ghost Malone. Both of us. I am always thinking about old school GeoCities website because that was an aesthetic. And you want it from a programming perspective. What are some of the defining CSS and HTML features that made those old site looks weird? And look at this. I'm like leaning back for this question. So for those of you who aren't my age, GeoCities used to be a service provider. So they gave you free space on the internet to put your websites and to put your pictures. Think of it as giving you a free cubbyhole on the internet. And then you say, hey, put your HTML here, put your CSS here. It'll be cool. And it had a really distinctive sort of 90s look because we didn't have all of these fancy way to do things. So actually, if you like Rich.com, if you like a GeoCities feel, there's a coding tool and community called Glitch, and it's going to load real slow for me. And Glitch has kind of a very GeoCities vibe, doesn't it? It's a lot more powerful. And let's look at this, a basic website, a hello website. I think this is going to feel a little bit GeoCitiesy. And let me go ahead and give you this link. And the reason that GeoCities websites felt so old school is we didn't really have, like CSS wasn't really a meaning, wasn't really a thing. We had those style tags. And we used a lot of tables. So really, a lot of why GeoCities felt so stylistically different is because that's sort of what 90s web design, Those are the tools we had. And we had that sort of shared design. Whereas you look at web design now, and are we still doing the thing where stuff is like very, very white and a lot of white space and a big chunky thing at the top? So part of it is we were constrained by how the languages worked at the time. But another part of it is that was just sort of the style of the time. One thing I really like about modern Japanese web design is it still feels a little bit 90s, very, very stripped down. So here's a basic website. We've got our index. And this is going to just, so let's go ahead, and if anybody wants to play with a website without doing any of, and just sort of experiment, Glitch is a really good tool to get weird. Thank you so much for this question. But your answer, why do GeoCities websites look weird? Because of the tools they had, we weren't as sophisticated, but also because that was the style of the time. Fabulous. Yeah. Oh, and Jeff makes a really good point. I love this, to say, do you know what? GeoCities was really from a removed context. So you had other website builders, and you've said CompuServe and Prodigy. These were really before my time. Was well, it's not even that they were before my time. CompuServe and Prodigy were paid tools, weren't they? I was years old when I was in 1997, so I didn't have a lot of my own money to pass around. Oh, and our dear friend of entropy, makes a really good point to say, you know what, neocities.org is doing the same vibe as GeoCities if you want to try that out. And just like Glitch, it's a really good tool for trying out HTML and CSS. Yeah. Oh gosh, I was showing you Glitch in another tab. I'm so sorry, my loves. I'm going to be monstrous and terrible and horrible and abandon you all. But before I abandon you all, let's talk homework. Like, while I'm being mean, let me be mean. And I bet you can guess what your homework is. But we're going to come into the curriculum. We're hanging out in the new responsive web. You can look in the old one if you want. I just like this one better because it's project based. If you haven't finished the HTML, finish them. And you might say, Jess, you didn't finish them. I promise I've done these a ton of times. I promise. You say, go ahead and finish the first CSS one. You say, well, Jess, you didn't. I say, it's cool. It's cool. I promise I've done it. And then if it's not a bother, and don't worry if you can't get it all done, let's go ahead and see if we can finish these CSS markers. And again, this is a huge long one. We've only got about a third of the way through, but most of these are little tiny tweaks. It's not going to feel as bad as you think it will. You don't have these finished by tomorrow. The next time we're doing a lesson stream is going to be next week, is next Monday. And raise your hands who absolutely hated doing forms when we did forms in the HTML one. Good news. I've got good news. On Monday, the most dismal of all days of the week, we are doing an HTML lesson that is, little jazz hands, only forms. But like, it won't be that bad. We'll do them together. It'll be fine. It's just HTML. It can't hurt us. And the other things we're going to look at next week are looking at our first project. And these projects are really great. I love them, especially for folks who want to be working in tech. These are really good sort of putting together a portfolio for you. And then after we've been punished with forms and get creative with a project, we're going to go back and do some more painting. We're going to do some more art. Yeah. So hard thing, weird thing, more art next week. But we'll go ahead and we'll get the times corrected, and we'll send out a reminder for tomorrow. Tomorrow, an hour after you usually meet me, we're going to be going ahead and having a streamed lesson with Dr. Barbara Oakley and with Zach Caceres. And we're going to talk about how you learn and how you take care of yourself as you learn. Oh, gosh. While I'm giving you your homework, while I'm being mean. So please try and finish the first 3 sections if you haven't, but finish them by next week. It's chill. And not even by next week. If something happens, you will finish them later. It's fine. These lessons are for you. We will go ahead and update the timing for the guest lectures, and we'll update that for both web dev and JavaScript. I'm so sorry. That's absolutely my mistake. That's absolutely the kind of thing I would do. My profuse apologies that those managed to get flubbed up. But those are actually on demand as well. So if you can't make the guest ones, don't worry about it. There's no attendance. You don't have to come live. The big reason to come live is to ask excited questions to the experts. And we'll keep doing these guest lectures. And to keep it fair for the APAC folks and for the folks in the West, we're going to do them at different times that suit the guests best. Yeah. So this one, if the timing for the stream works well for you, y'all get really lucky tomorrow. But if this timing is terrible for you, some of our other guest spots will be good for you. Your homework, please try and finish the first 3 sections when you get a second. But your other, much more important homework is to be infinitely patient with yourself. This is just HTML. This is just CSS. This is just computers. This is probably not the most important thing in your life. Make sure that you're taking enough time to rest. Make sure that you're being gentle with yourself as you learn. Menacingly, I'm just going to say, or else, and give you a lovely, friendly, empty threat to leave you on. It has been a delight to learn with you. Thank you so much. Yeah. I'll see you